Shalom, dear friends, and a warm welcome to you all. I'm so excited to be launching this new podcast series. I love Israel. I love everything about it. It's my second favorite place on earth after the good old USA. I love Israel because the people are amazing. The culture is fantastic. The food, the sights, the land. There is so much to see and do there. But right now, Israel is engaged in a complicated and challenging war. And to help shed some light on what it's like to live in Israel during a war, I've asked my dear friend Shimon Zemer to join us today. Now, Shimon is an Israeli citizen. He has served in the IDF, and he's also been a professional tour guide for several decades. So he's literally taken thousands of people through Israel. And together with my co-host, Jeremiah, we'll be talking about the issues related to being in Israel during a time of war from a human angle. We'll explore the realities and the struggles and also show you the resiliency of the Israeli people. So I look forward to sharing our first podcast with you. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Sandy Laws, and welcome to my podcast. Today we are talking about Israel and the current events taking place in Israel. Let me introduce to you Jeremiah, my co-host and producer. Hi, Jeremiah. How are you doing?
Hi, Sandy. Great to see you as always, Sandy.
Yeah. And also we have our special guest, Shimon Zemer. Shimon is a tour guide in Israel. He's a longtime friend of mine. I think we've known each other now 15 years. We met in 2009 on my first tour to Israel. And since then, we've done several more. And it's amazing to have this time to talk to you. And I would say, I find that you're so informative about what's going on in Israel, and your knowledge is so deep because of all of your decades of experience taking people all over the country of Israel. So it's wonderful to get your perspective on what is happening there. So, Shimon, how you doing today?
So, hi guys. Hi Jeremiah. Hi Sandy.
Hi,
Good to be with you from about 15,000 kilometers, 10,000 miles. It's a complicated question. When someone say in Israel, good morning, you say just morning. You don't add the good because it's not good. It's a war. And as a war, we're losing friends, soldiers, families. It's about 6 weeks after October 7th, which I'm not exaggerating. Some people saying it's like the Holocaust, not less than that. In one day, less than a day, we've lost 1,400 Israelis. So the question, how are you, is very complicated. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy to share with you and to talk to you, and it's very good to be with you.
Shimon, if you will, walk us through October 7th. I know this will be a day etched in your memory, just as it is for us on 9/11. I think most Americans can remember exactly where they were and what they were doing when they first heard what had happened. So walk us through that day.
Well, I'm trying many times to make a kind of a separation between what Americans can feel and what we usually having here. Because even when you're talking about 9/11, you're talking about a local terror attack. No one invaded into your land. No one is going to conquer your land. No one is threatening to conquer Washington or the suburbs of Washington. Our Saturday, which is a holiday, it was a tabernacle, started with a huge missiles and rocket attack by the Hamas. Now, that's not unusual. We have it from time to time. But in that time, it began with hundreds of rockets And then it went to thousands of rockets in hours. Leading the rockets, it was the invasion of the Hamas into Israel. And actually, the Hamas conquered 22 places, including army bases, headquarters in Israel. Even at 9 o'clock, when we began to see the Hamas driving in their Toyota, the trucks with the machine guns on top, driving in the streets of Israeli cities and Israeli kibbutzim, we were in shock, and we thought, it's okay. So they succeeded to penetrate into Israeli cities, and the Israeli army, we are the best in the world, and they will destroy and they will kick them away. It wasn't. Israel went into, if I may say, it was a coma. They didn't catch us. They didn't catch us with our pants down. They caught us with no pants. And it took hours until the military organized and went to the south and began to fight back. Here, and now I'm going into another level, another step. Here, really, the Israelis have been discovered as the most brave people. We succeeded to go from minus 200 miles per hour in a few hours. Israel immediately organized the military, mostly civilians. But you have to understand, in the kibbutzim and a few cities along the border with Gaza, people stayed in the shelters for hours, sometimes even 20 hours, holding the handle, not letting the Hamas to open it. If the Hamas had RPG, so they bombed the shelter. Only the AK-47, this one doesn't penetrate into the shelter. So those who succeeded stayed alive. But the pictures are horrible, and we shall talk about it, what has been discovered when Israel came there.
Shimon, what was going through your mind, and what were you and your family talking about? What were you conjecturing? What was happening? And how did you get information about what was happening?
So 1973, I was a young soldier. And I remember that we were also so surprised. And one of the most famous sentences was said by Moshe Dayan, the legendary Moshe Dayan. He said, "Prepare the bomb. Prepare the bomb." Everybody knew what kind of bomb he's talking about, of course, the nuclear bomb, because they talked about the third destruction of Israel, the third destruction of Israel. This is not what we felt on that time, because we didn't fight against three countries like 1973 or even more. Now it's against organization, the Hamas. So, we feeling confident in our military, and we knew that it will take time, but we shall win. We knew that. And now we can see that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't feel like, we're going to lose Israel. No. But when you begin to hear that it's like someone, you're coming home and you find a thief in your bedroom. Someone so strange penetrated into our home, into our houses. And what they did there, soon we shall talk about it, because I think this is the main case of what happened. And this is what motivated the Israeli soldiers to go on and on, because the pictures of what we found here are in their mind and in our minds.
So Shimon, a couple questions for you, just to give context for your day-to-day life that I don't understand. So you talk about shelters. Every home has a shelter. Is that true?
Yes.
And tell me about these shelters.
In the last, I think about 25, 30 years, every apartment, every house in Israel must have a shelter, which in my home, we are in a building of 4 stories, and each apartment, one of the rooms is a shelter. Now, the shelter has a very heavy metal door, very heavy, can be shut and locked from the inside. Then you have a system against gas, which ventilating and clear the gas. Of course, plug in and plug out. So the walls are very thick. So in our places, rockets landed on houses, and the houses were totally demolished. But the square of the shelter remained complete, and people didn't get hurt inside. So, of course, in the last decades, as I said, all the houses with shelters, and every new house must have a shelter. And if you don't have a shelter, so the regulation in Israel to build a shelter, you have the free way to build a shelter in your house.
Well,
So
what
you live in
happens? Go ahead, Jeremiah.
I was going to say, so like just for context, so like in America, we have codes. We have to have our GFI circuits. We have to have our plumbing right. And in Israel, you live in such a state that is mandated that you have a bomb shelter in your home. That in and of itself, to me, I think sets the stage very interestingly of something that not many people in the world have to live just with
Okay.
that basic surrounding.
Wait 10 seconds. I want to show you something.
Yeah, please do.
I want you to have a look to a device. It's a piece of wood with a hole inside. What do you think it's this one for? What are we doing with that? If you would have asked people before October 7th, they would have said maybe you playing golf or hockey. No. Since almost all the victims in the kibbutzim were killed after the Hamas succeeded to open the shelters. So what we did now in the houses, when you are in the shelter and you lock the shelter, you putting the handle through this hole and you put this wood on the doorpost so no one can open the shelter.
Because the shelters are designed more for rocket attack than actual invasion.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I mean, when it wasn't conceived of, so that also shows the arms race that you're in. Rockets come in, you build shelters to protect your population. Now invaders come in, which was unimaginable because it was allegedly the most secure border in the world, which unfortunately we found out it just wasn't.
But you see, as we're sitting here now, it can be a siren.
Right.
We are so fortunate now that in the last couple of weeks, the Israeli military succeeded to decrease in maybe 85% the ability of the Hamas to launch rockets. So less and less sirens. But just a couple of weeks ago, it was interception above my house, and a few pieces of the rockets landed on the roof above my house.
So much.
In
this
the
has
morning,
been
the municipality came and took it. Yeah.
So this is going on for so long that you fought in a war in '73 yourself.
Yes.
Then culturally, you built shelters in your home. We've all heard about the infamous Iron Dome system, the amount of resources that have gone to that just to protect yourselves so the amount of day-to-day activity that you live with just to protect yourselves. That's something in America we have no concept of. We might have a home security system, right?
Jeremiah. We came 1945 after the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
More than half of the Jewish people were perished.
Right.
We were about 13 million Jews. After 1947, we went down to 6 million. 1948, this place, Israel, was established. We accept everything the UN did and asked and voted for. The Arabs didn't. We went into the War of Independence, 1948. 1956, the Sinai Operation. 1967, the 6 Days of War. 1969, War of Attrition for almost 4 years. 1973, the Yom Kippur War, 1973 war. 1982, the Lebanese War, the first Lebanese War. 2008, the second Lebanese War. And in between, all the time, clashes, fighting, fire, all the time, constantly. It's not something which is once a day. It's constantly.
Right.
Now we're dealing with the Hamas, and now the Hezbollah from the north began to launch their rocket, and now the Houth, from Yemen, Yemen,
Right.
they launched rockets to Israel. It's 2,000 miles from here. Hello,
Right.
What do you want from us? We never met them.
For sure.
Suddenly appears that on their flag, it says we have to kill the Americans and we have to kill the Israelis. Hello,
Right.
Where are you?
Yeah, the Yemen thing's wild. I know I was talking with my wife about it, and she was asking me about it. So we opened up a map. I'm like, look at how far that is. Insanity. Like, this is not a neighbor. And one of my earliest memories is actually the Gulf War, America's Gulf War, where in order to keep the coalition alive, Israel had to sit out, but you guys were still just randomly hit by Iraqi Scuds because, right? You weren't even doing anything in the war. Right.
48 big missiles, the SA-2, landed in Israel. Yeah.
And then I remember the footage of the
retaliate.
Patriots. Right. Because America said no. So, I mean,
exactly.
We spent a lot of time on this, but I think, and maybe now might be an interesting time because you just brought up all these conflicts. Now, you told me your grandparents were there in the 1920s. Your dad fought in the war of 1948, right? You fought in the 1973 war.
By the way, 1973, we were 4 brothers in the war.
Yeah, well,
you and your brothers.
Walk us through your family history of conflict in Israel. Like, how long has your family lived in Israel, and what the various family members were involved with in terms of the skirmishes and wars?
Yeah, so my father came from Lithuania. He came 1927. From Lithuania to Israel. My mother came from Romania, 1931. They met here, got married. My oldest brother, may rest in peace, he passed away. He was born 1941. My second brother, 1944. My third brother, 1949. And I was born 1952. And so, my father fought in 1948. Then in 1967, my 2 oldest brothers, they were in the war. 1973, we were 4 brothers in this war. I was in 1982 as a reserve already, Lebanon, as a reserve services. So my brothers serves in all the wars. And I think once I told Sandy, when I had the bar mitzvah, my father said in the ceremony, I hope you are my son, you won't have to join the military. It will be peace. And I went to the military. And then when my son had the bar mitzvah, I told him, I hope you won't have to go to the military. Maybe it will be peace by then. And he went to the military. And when his son, my grandson, went to the bar mitzvah, we all told him, we hope until you'll go to the military, it will be peace, no military. And now he's 15 years old already, and in 3 years from now, he'll go to the military. My granddaughter, in a year, she'll go to the military. And I want you to know, talking about my granddaughter, you just can't imagine how the women soldiers are fighting in Gaza, in the combat units in the front, are fighting like the men. You'll see them on TV. Oh my God, they're looking amazing with everything, the helmet and the backpack and the vest and the weapon. And they're doing exactly the same job as the men. It's unbelievable to see that. And we are so proud of that.
Shimon, you say this prayer at the bar mitzvahs. What are you hoping? Like when you say there will be no war, are the Israelis hoping for no peace? I mean, is that the perpetual hope? Or
You
I'm
know,
sorry, they're hoping for peace. That is the perpetual hope. That's hasn't come to pass yet.
do you know how many families are not sleeping now by night, knowing their sons and daughters are running in the battlefield against vicious enemy, which stands behind a group of children pointing the weapon to the soldiers, and the soldiers cannot do anything about it. And Golda Meir, the prime minister, she said peace will come only when the Arabs will love their children more than they're hating us. In that time, maybe peace will come. Meanwhile, you can't see because you're not fighting against nations, against organizations, the Hamas, the Hezbollah, ISIS, Islamic Jihad, the Sons of the Holies of the Sons, and like 20 different gangs in Gaza, only in Gaza. It's, America never won a war against terror organization. Not in Vietnam, not in Somalia, not in Iraq, never. You can't win a war against terrorism. And we are fighting against terrorism.
Right.
Shimon, what is it like day to day to be there during a war? You said the families are not sleeping. What's going on there in terms of the economy and what it's like to live through this day by day?
Israel is a very strong nation, very economically, military, very strong. Budget is good. The Minister of Treasury said that we have the money. Many business will shut down. I'm not working until at least March. All the groups canceled, no tourism at all. My field, tour guides, bus drivers, hotels, restaurants, tens of thousands of people are not making any money, and soon the government will begin to pay. Think about all the reserve troops now fighting, and people left behind their shops, business, studying, fields, agriculture fields. But the cause is so important. This is the time we have to knock them down. And maybe after that, we shall have, I'm not calling that peace, but it will be more quiet, no doubt.
Excuse me. I want to go back to the thought of your father told you the hope, the dream, the prayer of perhaps you won't have to join the military. There'll be peace, and how that's gone through generationally. And I know Sandy has sons. Sandy has a daughter. I have two boys. I did not have to join the military. We don't have to, people enlist because they believe in the country, and I chose a different path. My sons, like, I cannot imagine the cycle, and I don't think most Americans can, like the cycle that I would have to look at my son, who's soon to be 8. So bar mitzvah is 13. Is that right?
Yeah.
So when you turn 13,
yeah.
like, I hope you don't have to go fight. Like that's already our reality here in America, right? That we already live that way. So that breaks my brain a bit to have to say, my sons, whom I love more than anything in the world, you may have to go fight and defend your land, defend your right to live.
That's exactly the point. You have to defend your land. When we're sitting on Friday evening, friends, and we're asking ourselves, until when the American mothers will be able and agree to send their children to fight for the sake of Iraq, the sake of Vietnam, the sake of Somali, the sake of I don't know what, or Ukraine, we are fighting for our land. We're protecting our land. It's not out of the blue that that the Israelis are willing to be killed for the sake of their land. We're protecting our children by that. We're protecting our next generations to come. You know, always when we are traveling, I'm mentioning the book of Ezekiel 37, the vision of the dry bones. Doesn't matter what will happen. Always we shall be standing up, covered with skin and muscles and blood and soul, and we shall march to the land. We're protecting our land. It's different. In the Israeli basic training, you've been taught. You have to accept the idea that you can be killed for your land. It's different in America,
Right.
unless you're going to be attacked by Canada. But I'm not sure it's going to happen.
Well,
No, I mean, even the posture is very different because America, we have a very offensive based army. Yours is
Yeah.
defensive based. You're not going to go fight a conflict 2,000 miles away from your homeland. You're not going to go drop
Absolutely.
troops in. You are going to fight a conflict down the road. That's a completely different posture.
Exactly.
what do you say to people who say that the land also belongs to the Palestinians? Like, you know, we've got this whole issue around a two-state solution, and we have to both live in the land. What do you say to that?
Look, well, that's an issue by itself. But let me put to go into this subject by asking, who are the Palestinians? That's actually the question. Now, you know, in order to have a state, a nation, you have to have your kings, you have to have your language, you have to have your tradition, your heritage, your culture, your money, your currency. And, you know, go just before 1967. I'm not talking about 100 years, 200 years ago. Show me a title, a Palestinian school, a Palestinian writer, a Palestinian doctor. It's all Arabs. Arabs. Go to the UN maps from 1948. The decision of partition, there is no name Palestinians. It says Arabs. Arabs, no Palestinians. So, you know, I'm always go to the book of Acts 2. Okay, the book of Acts 2, there is the story of the Pentecost. And look the list of the nations. I think they're talking about 12 nations around the area. No Palestinians. There is no such a thing. Who are they? Where they came from? What is their destiny? What their culture? They speaking Arabic like all the nations around. They're using shekels, our money. They don't have anything by themselves. Like, who are you? What makes you a nation? So of course they said, "Wow, what you talking about? Temple Mount? No, the temple wasn't there. This was built by Muhammad. Jerusalem is ours. Jerusalem is yours. Go into the Quran. Jerusalem is not mentioning, not even once, the name Jerusalem in the Muslim Quran. 600 times in the Jewish Bible. 600 times. How can you say Jerusalem? They say it's theirs. No. So now it's too late to ask, who are you? Now, okay, we have Palestinians. Hello.
Yeah.
For that, you have to kick us from this land.
Yeah.
Jordan, more than 60% of Jordan are Palestinians. All these, what you call Palestinians, refugees in Lebanon and in Egypt. So we have to deal with the question, who are the Palestinians? What are the Palestinians? That's a subject by itself.
Yes, for sure. Well, What do you want the people here in the U.S. to understand about what's going on there and the Jewish position on what's going on?
One word: the truth. The truth. Because, okay, now I'm going to talk, not something I'd like to talk about. I don't want that it will sound to wrong directions. But after October 7th, we found families tied together, 5, 6 people burning and being shot together. Until now, today, 6 weeks after, we have hundreds of bodies which you can't even take the DNA. You don't have DNA. They found dozens of chopped head babies, which they didn't know how to attach the head to the bodies. They found babies in microwave. Can you hear it? Babies in microwaves. Cook them in microwaves. They found pregnant women, which they cut the stomach. They took the baby out, showing the mother how they killing the baby. It's not even a baby. And then they killed the mother. They raped hundreds of young Israeli girls. We have a picture. I showed you the picture of a young girl being schlepped by her hair into a jeep of the Hamas, and all her behind, one big spot of blood. She was raped. And so many young girls, after they were raped, they were shot. And we people were found cutting into pieces, spread all over the area. And when the UN secretary, the main secretary, speaks, I demand that the Israelis will stop killing people in Gaza. Not even one word, one F word about what happened here on October 7th. Say something. Say, hey, we condemn this behavior. This is a Nazi's behavior. How President Biden said, what Hamas is doing makes ISIS pure.
Right.
This is what we do. So all we need is the truth. This is what we want. We want equal behavior. You think we are doing something bad in Gaza? Okay, but mention what happened, the mass massacre on October 7th. Mm-hmm. You can't separate this thing. So all we want, the truth. And guys, I know what is the Israeli soldier. You can hear hundreds of times pilots coming to attack, and you can hear the pilot saying in the microphone, he said, I'm giving up, I'm going back. What happened? I see children there. No one will say anything. No one will say anything. Mm-hmm. We are so trying not to kill innocent people. And the world doesn't care about that. Hello, we are surrounded by almost 180 million people. All they have to do is to march into this land, which New Jersey is bigger than Israel. New Jersey is bigger than Israel. And we are the only Jewish country in the world. And yet, they making us the evil, the Satan, the monsters, the brutal, the rude people. Hello, truth. If it will be the truth, everything will be fine.
What do you think the narrative has gotten so twisted about good versus evil here? What has happened? Is
okay.
it?
So we are coming to the $1 million question. Why everybody hating the Jews? What did we do? What did we do? Come on. Give me a list of things you Jews. You did 1, 2, 3, 4. We are 0.02%. of the total population around the world. 0.02%. The Muslims are 27% from the entire world. Nobel Prize began to be given. More than 140 Israelis and Jews received it. Science, math, literature, name it. 5-6 Muslims got it.
What do you think it comes from?
We don't know. Maybe jealousy? I don't know. Look what we invented. You using Waze is an Israeli. The Iron Dome, cherry tomatoes. So many inventions. What did you invent? Suicide bombers, killing, dozens of Muslim organizations which just making terror and attacks and bringing death to the world.
I mean,
so
do you think
give me a list?
Is it a holy war, Shimon? Like, is there a
holy war? Well, you can call it Armageddon, and you can call it the war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness, as the Dead Sea Scrolls are mentioning. Yes, I know. I'm not sure it's a holy. No, I'm not sure. In Hebrew we say halanetzach tochal et charbecha. If I want to translate it, like literally translate, is for eternity, forever, you're going to eat your sword. You're going to use your soul, but in Hebrew it's to eat your soul. Okay, so yeah, that's what we are doing. Forever, we shall have to fight.
Yeah, there's two things I'm curious for context of one. I heard it said that I thought was quite interesting. Is you said this is the Holocaust, and so then that instantly Germans, Nazis come to mind. And I think it was Douglas Murray that recently said this is actually worse than the Nazis, because the Nazis at least tried to hide what they did. They did not take videos of it. They did not call their mothers and say, "Mom, I just killed this woman. I just raped this woman." The Nazis their mothers were not on TV saying the Quran says it's okay to rape infidels. Like, this is very different. I think that it actually comparing what's happening to the Nazis is minimizing what's happening, because this is celebrating it, as with the Nazis, at least, I think I'm not defending Nazis, abhorrent, the worst thing we've ever seen. And somehow this is worse, right? And then I think that boil everything down to its essence, right? Let's strip the politics away. Let's strip the religions away, or the religious overtones away. It comes down to a very simple idea. If Israel were to lay down its arms, if Israel were to burn all of their weapons, Israel's gone. Mm-hmm. If Hamas in Gaza lays down their weapons, nothing changes. It's a very different frame up that I think is being so constrained, specifically in Western culture. And also I think that we need to put the onus on the right source. Like, right, Israel, as you point, cannot fix this problem. You're too few. You're too small in numbers. Ultimately, who is the largest part of the world's population, and whom do these people belong to? It's the Muslim culture. I believe the Muslim culture has to deal with their extremists, just like America has to deal with their extremists and Christianity has to deal with their extremists. Muslims need to deal with this. They need to say, if our religion is a religion of peace, the mass population of the world needs to say, knock it off. We have the means to bring peace to the world. Why are we putting the onus on 0.002% of the world's population?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think just to set the table, so anybody listening to this can really just boil this down to the essence. Who's the largest religious population in the world? Muslims. Who does this group belong to? Muslims should deal with this, just like America should deal with their issues, and Israel should deal with their issues. Israel is not perfect, right? No human thing is. And then, so think of who they belong to and think what would happen if Israel put down their arms versus the oppressors put down the fighters put down their arms, the Hamas put down their arms. These are very different things. And I guess in just all the rhetoric and all the craziness I hear, if we boil this down to those few simple ideas, I think we can get a bit more clarity, a bit more focus as to what's happening. So I just talked a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so two things I wanted to answer. One, besides Ukraine and Russia war, all the wars since the Second World War were with or because of Muslims. Iraq, Somalia, just name it. Maybe Vietnam, but really, look what's going on around the world, in Iraq and all the region. The Islamic Jihad is to kill them. You saw ISIS with the orange overall on the seashore, killing each one just because they are not Muslims. So this is the jihad. This is what they're calling jihad. Let's kill people. We are killing people. This is what they're doing, killing people. All the Israeli leaders which spoke in the last few weeks said one thing, which everybody talked about it. The problem is not Israel. They just started with us. Wait, you will be the next. Go to England. Go to France. Go to Dearborn, Michigan. I want you to go into Dearborn, Michigan. It's Saudi Arabia. It's not the United States of America.
Right.
And they saying in Europe, we shall do what we did to the Crusaders. We shall conquer Europe and everything will become Muslims. You see the demonstrations, what they're doing there. So that's the situation. You see, someone just drew a cartoon about Muhammad and they're chasing him for the last 20 years until they'll kill him. So this is what we're dealing with.
I think we have to be careful, though, not to paint every Muslim in a light.
No, I'm sorry. No. Look,
I mean, because
my father said, not all the Muslims are terrorists,
right?
But all the terrorists are Muslims.
And that is a valid point.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. But on the other hand, you do have conflict in your region in many different areas for many different reasons. And I don't know. To me, it feels kind of negative to try to portray it as it's a Muslim problem. Jeremiah, you say, why can't they get it? Why can't they get their people more aligned with a peaceful life, more aligned with just living on the planet as a people group and not wanting to war against others? To which I say to you, has that happened in the United States? Are we able to really
I
control?
100% agree with you, Sandy. And I think that I agree with that. But I think that the difference that, at least from my observation, says we have the conversation, right? I don't necessarily agree with all terrorists are Muslims because I've seen many Christian terrorists, right? We've seen terrorists in the States that come from many different backgrounds.
No, I know. I'm not generalizing. I just
right. No, I hear you, Shimon. I hear you. And
but the Israeli soldiers found in Gaza Mein Kampf, the Hitler books,
right,
with all kinds of marks. They put what to pay attention, what to do to the Jews, how to do it to the Jews. This is what they're teaching the children there. Yeah.
And I think, Sandy, guys, I just want to real quick address.
We have very, very good friends, Muslims. We're going to Bethlehem. We are going to East Jerusalem, to the shops, of course, guys. But they are local here, Muslims. They will give their lives in order to save my life.
Absolutely.
But the region around, you're talking about the Hamas and ISIS and Islamic Jihad.
It's a different thing. And I think, Sandy, the difference is if there is and was Christian organizations that were Muslims, Christians like you and I would call them out. We would say, stop it. You are not representing our religion well. we would try to enact policy. We would try to enact things to stop it, right? Because those things are our problems, right? There are plenty of American problems that we have that we've sown around the world, and we have to fix them. We have to work on them, and
What
that's
what
and
what do you mean
America has
by
a
if
stream of issues.
like I don't agree with the term Christian terrorist. I don't know that that's a thing. But I don't understand how you would say, even as Christians, we can control the way that other Christians think about things.
Well, I think so. Let's remove the current affairs and go to historically. I don't think you would find a Christian in the world that agrees with what the Crusaders did under the Christian narrative. We would say that was wrong, bad. No Christian identifies with a Crusader anymore. We would say we have to push that out of what we understand of faith. And that is not the way of Jesus, is to go be a crusader with swords and knights running around killing people. That's just not a good thing, right?
The Nazis, they were Christians, not the Christians that we're calling them, but
right.
they it was on their belt. It was said, "Jesus meet us, Jesus with us."
For sure,
like,
for sure. And
of course, we're not consider them Christians. But guys, I wanted to stick on this area.
Yeah. So I agree. So I just think, Sandy, that
we're just having a side discussion, Shimon. It won't be in the
and Sandy and I can pick this up, but I think that I guess I'm just all I was trying to establish with the thought, and maybe poorly, was Israel is not the problem, and it is not. Right. They cannot solve this alone. No matter what to your point, you are surrounded by nations. You're very small. You can't fix this. Now, has Israel done things that may be bad over time? Yes. Has every nation on the planet done that? Absolutely. Right. And should Israel work on being better? Yes. Should America work on being better? Absolutely. We're not claiming this. So I was just trying to, again, maybe poorly, illustrate that Israel can't solve this.
Well, it speaks to the question of, what does the international community really need to do to help to solve it? What is the solution?
Truth. Again, truth. In the second they will accept the idea what been done here, what they did to us on October 7th, and the retaliation. In the BBC once they asked one of the Israelis, they asked, "Do you think it's proportional what Israel is doing in Gaza?" Proportional? What is a proportional to beheaded babies? What is a proportional for that? What is a proportional for rape young Israeli girls? What is a proportional to cut people into pieces? What is a proportional?
Well, we definitely see a lot of media bias depending on the outlet, right? Like the BBC has a certain slant, CNN versus Fox News versus the Daily Mail versus the Atlantic Monthly. They all have varying positions that they're putting forward about the war. And
did you see what I sent you about the BBC, the Israeli program? Show it to Jeremiah once.
Okay. It's that they had to step back on something, right? They had to step back.
Yeah, but they made fun of the BBC. You have to see that. How, as if they interviewing the Yihya Sinwar,
but
which a baby crying disturbing his night sleep.
But
she asked him,
how did it come to this issue where the media doesn't have the correct narrative? Like, why are they so skewed in favor of Hamas?
Okay, so the Israeli spokesman explained everything. He said, Israel succeeded to enter to the Shifa hospital, bringing with them doctors and soldiers speaking Arabic to help them in the hospital. The BBC broadcasted, and they said the Israelis attacking doctors and they're attacking every Arab speaking in the hospital. And after an hour, they said, "Oh, whoa, the BBC's apology. It was a mistake. Come on." So truth. Tell the truth. That's what we need. Just to say all the time, you're killing babies in Gaza, you're killing babies in Gaza. Hello, go to Saturday, October 7th. Then talk about what happened, and then ask either retaliation. Hey, we are dealing with the Hamas since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
How America would have been reacted if rockets would be been launched from Mexico?
Not good. It wouldn't have been
No.
good.
No, the numbers would
What do
like
we
be
just-
like equivalent of 80,000 American killed and like 24,000 American. My numbers are probably off, but it's the scale. If you look at our populations, it'd be like
So would
thousands
you
of
ask-
hostages
Yeah.
taken.
Right.
Would you said it's proportional? You would have been smashed, this estate.
Yeah.
Here we're dealing, the number of social workers in Gaza Strip border, the number of social workers is bigger than the number of the children.
I didn't know
Children 24/7 need therapy. At all kinds of levels. Think about you living 24/7 under the sirens.
It's terrible.
That's exactly.
Assuming that Israel wins the war, if you will, wins, as in eradicates Hamas as a controlling entity of Gaza, what do you think will happen next? Like,
So
what is the chatter about that?
Israel can maybe demolish the military ability of the Hamas. Israel cannot totally kill or totally demolish or totally destroy the Hamas idea. That will stay forever. You can't destroy it. You understand? You can't kill an idea.
Mm-hmm.
You can kill and you can destroy and you can stop military activities. You can't stop the idea. So we know that it will continue. You can't stop it. Not here. It will be in Jordan, Syria, Yemen, Iran. So it will stay there. So all we want is to stop the Hamas ability to launch rockets to Israel. This is what we want.
Will Israel rebuild that area? Will it put the
Which one?
Gaza City? Like, will it?
In the second we shall finish with Gaza, Israel will go out, withdraw from there, and only military protection will be there. Israel is not going to do anything, to deal with nothing about building the place, taking care of the people, school, hospitals, nothing.
So
That will be.
Where are the people supposed to go who can no longer live there?
No, in Gaza.
Right.
But the Arab League, 27 countries, which all the time saying, Palestinians, now we want to see you. Pay money, build Gaza, take care of these people.
Why do you think, I've heard that Egypt isn't letting anybody in. Why is that the case?
Thank you.
Help me understand
This is
that.
exactly what I want to talk about. 1967, Israel conquered Sinai Peninsula with Gaza Strip. That was Egypt until 1967. When we had the peace agreement with Egypt, Henry Kissinger came to Israel and said, guys, listen, for the peace, Egypt wants Sinai Peninsula. Israel said, we shall have peace with you, but we conquered Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip. Take it all. Egyptians said, no, we are not taking Gaza. We're taking only Sinai Peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
Israel said, we conquered both. Take it both.
Yeah.
Egypt said, if you are not continue to hold Gaza Strip, no peace agreement. Israel gave up. We just gave Sinai Peninsula, and we have to deal with this hornet's nest named Gaza. And
why did they do that?
Because they knew exactly who are the people there.
They didn't want to deal with what was going to.
No, of course not.
Right.
No one wants to deal with them.
Yeah.
Who wants to deal with them? No one wants. Look, since 1948, They're refugees. Hello, we were also refugees after the Holocaust. Look what we have. A beautiful country. Since 1948, refugees. Until now, growing and growing and growing and growing and growing refugees. Nothing. Nothing. Refugees. And Egypt didn't want them.
Do you think it could have gone a different way? Like once you took control of Gaza or kept control of Gaza, it felt like there could have been a potential for a country there, if you will, that would flourish with everything it had: the land, the access to the sea, the ability.
How it can be flourished. How it can be flourished when every single cent being spent on weapon, tunnels, cement, propaganda, they didn't invest. By the way, the Shifa hospital,
Yeah.
you know who built it? Israel.
Really?
When Israel was in Gaza, before Israel withdrew from Gaza, Israel built the Shifa hospital. This is how we know all the rooms and all the basements and everything. Israel built it.
So Israel has always been generous in trying to assist with Gaza.
Too generous.
In your
A
mind.
week before the war, Israel allowed to more than 20,000 Palestinians from Gaza to come to work in Israel.
Permanently, or just in and out of Gaza? Like, is that they were coming permanently?
Every day coming and working in Israel. If you are in Gaza, the average salary is about $100 a month. You coming to work in Israel, $25,000, $3,000 a month. You have social security, you have medical care, you have pension, you have everything. This is the law in Israel. So think about how they could have had such a good place to make money. No. Terrorism and terrorism and terrorism.
It's terrible, really.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, do you have any other questions you want to cover? Or
I don't. I mean, I wish I had something to bring to the table, right? It's hard because I don't even know if I have any great words, honestly. It just feels,
I'm not
wrong.
jealous about your job to edit this video.
It'll be fine.
Either.
It'll be fine. I mean, I think that the idea for everybody to see how confusing and hard this is for us. Like, nobody's pretending this is easy. Nobody's pretending that there's blood is being spilled. And I know last time when we did our prep, you showed me a ultrasound of your future granddaughter.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening behind the scenes is families are trying to go on. Are there bad people everywhere that don't understand the value of life? Yes. But I think the vast majority of people, and I think I would conjecture everybody listening to this, understands the value and the preciousness of human life and trying to come to find answers when you're dealing with such what feels like unhumanness towards human life. I don't understand. And I think that is, to me, the biggest question or the biggest thing to walk away from this with, of October 7th, I think showed us what humans are capable of that I didn't think we were anymore. I didn't think that in our civilized world, humans were capable of that, even of a tenth of what is true, right? Like, even scale it way down, even like, you showed me this picture that we'll put up, turn away if you don't want to see it, of a father and son tied together and burnt, right? and I have an 8-year-old, right? I couldn't imagine that. And I'm not, forget if they're Jews, forget if they're Muslims, just two humans that happens to, that something will do that to them. I don't understand.
Israel
and
made
that's
a
we're trying to
movie.
understand this.
Israel made a movie, 47 minutes,
Oh, right.
about what happened there. I didn't see that. I can't see that. I won't see that. I send you a picture how foreign reporters watch this video and see the reaction of their face.
Yes.
Many of them
Right.
went out. Some of them needed medical assistance.
Gosh,
They ran out, puked, and fainted. And see the picture I send you, because they showed in this
And I'll put it up.
movie everything. 1,400 people were murdered in various ways.
and
Just
we
Not
think about it.
soldiers.
We haven't even talked about.
Among them soldiers, but not so many. The majority are citizens, of course.
We haven't even talked about the hostages. Like, I feel like they get left out of the conversation a lot. Like,
Not
for
in
sure.
Israel. Not in Israel. Oh, not in Israel. We have there about 30 children. The youngest one is 9 months.
Right.
And we have there a few babies, 3 years old, 4 years old, with no parents. The parents are killed in Israel, or only the babies were kidnapped to Gaza, and now they've been taken care by other Israelis in captivity. So we have there 87 years old, a few people. They need medicine. All we want, they want ceasefire. Okay, give us a list of the hostages. They don't want to. Give us the list. We want to know exactly the name of the people.
That has to be horrific for the people, their family members, to be living
You
through.
know, Jeremiah said he has how old is he, your son?
Almost 8.
8. Think about, it's Saturday morning, terrorists coming into your backyard, taking your child to the worst place, Gaza, into the basement. You don't know anything about him. Think about what he thinks, the baby. What he's shouting all the night, daddy or mommy. No one can do anything about that. He's by himself. And how he will feel.
It's
people
truly
saying that 7 weeks, they didn't sleep a second. You're thinking about your babies, and they don't want to tell us the names of the babies there, because we know many dead, but so many cannot be identified. Cannot be because the situation of the bodies.
It's just outrageous that there isn't more public outcry all around the world about those hostages.
Well, especially that they hold passports to 30 different countries,
right?
As well. Like some of them hold American passports.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Like this is.
We have people from Thai. You know, they killed about 50 or 60 Thai workers in the fields. They killed them, and they took into as hostages about 35 people from Thailand.
Yeah, the fact that either hostages haven't been given back, or why? Help me understand why the IDF or special operations from a country that these people belong to, that they're citizens of, why haven't they gone in and extracted these people? Is it just because they can't find them, or what's stopping that?
Israel will never let other troops to involved in the Israeli fight.
Okay.
Never. It will be no. Israel will do it by itself. So if there is any option that someone will get to them, Israel is the best option.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Israeli intelligence and the Israeli, security. We don't. Now they're talking about some deal, but Israel won't accept this deal.
Right. Like the idea of exchanging prisoners for innocent babies is just insane.
Yeah. So it's.
So I think that in the politics of war and all the rhetoric around who's right, who's wrong, who committed what atrocity, was it justified or not, these hostages have gotten lost in the narrative because it doesn't suit one part of the narrative well to continue to bring them up. And
Exactly.
on the other hand, for those people who support Israel, like me, there has to be a constant reminder because this isn't about the politics of war. It's about 240 souls that are hanging in the balance somewhere in Israel, and we don't know the status of them. It's absolutely horrific.
So yesterday they had a kind of demonstration, all the families of the kidnapped, and all of them said, "We don't want to talk about it. Do something.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Do it. Do it." Yeah. But we know with whom we are dealing with. So the Hamas, this is not what they have on their mind.
Shimon, speaking on behalf of Christians in this country, I can tell you that my friends and family members are in support of Israel. We have an Israeli flag hanging outside our front
I saw
door.
the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, we totally stand with you. But what can Christians do to support you, to help you feel supported, to know that we are with you in this journey? What can we do?
Pray. Push a lot of pressure on the government by senators, representatives. Show your voice. This is the spiritual one. Regarding to materials, so there are many things, but it's very difficult to do it from Ronen.
Yes, Ronan is
That
your friend,
yeah.
my friend, who's a bus driver there. By the way, he wants to come on the show too, so we'll see. He wants to do podcasts too. Yeah.
So he's doing
Great.
something, and I helped him a little bit. Yeah, and I heard that you did
how
a
can
little
we
bit.
do that? Like, how could we? I know that there's organizations that are stepping in to help. Some, to me, don't seem like they're totally legit, but it does seem to be a need on the ground level to support the soldiers with things,
So first of all, to push people, senators, representatives, people close to the government, to talk and to talk and to talk and to ask to tell the truth. To ask to tell the truth. That's very, very important. When we're coming to a practical way, it's very difficult from there. Like, besides to, let's say, send money and here to buy food and to do as Ronen is doing, his goal, and he has to call, Ronen the driver,
right.
He has to call me and to set time and to make some a barbecue for the soldiers.
Yes.
So
I saw that footage. Amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. And yeah. And so this is in the practical way. I don't see something like because money, it has to be delivered to them directly,
right,
to these organizations. It's funny, in the beginning the military said we are missing ceramic vests, against bullets.
Not ceramic, but
and people from America sent.
What would we call them?
We call it ceramic.
Okay.
Bulletproof vests.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's made out of ceramic. Yeah.
Oh.
And sure. And tens of thousands of them were sent from America. Now the military says, that's it. We don't need any more. You understand? So America is sending every day airplanes and ships, and they're bringing lots of stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff.
And you mentioned to pray. You mentioned to pray for you too, right? Like, speak to that. Why that has value to you,
Sandy.
Shimon.
We know the book. The book is the most important thing, and the book.
I know the book
from Genesis all the way, to the New Testament. Yeah. So to to pray. We believe in prayers. You have to see all the soldiers in the morning praying before they go into the battle, praying. Yeah.
Oh, I love
So
that image. I do. I would say that just having your story out there is going to make a difference. We need more citizens of Israel speaking the truth instead of having it come through a filter of the media. And we need to
absolutely.
share their stories so that we're understanding what you want us to understand. And I hope that this at least leads to more understanding of people who have questions about what's going on there and want to hear an insider's perspective. So I very much appreciate you getting this organized and set up, and we're thinking about you every day, and praying for you and your family, and hopefully we can continue this conversation. I would love
Oh
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate your time,
Jeremiah,
Shimon.
thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Jeremiah, and Sandy, of course. Big hugs.
Yeah, big hugs.
Absolutely. I can't wait to meet you when this thing settles down. And I think this is not a perfect attempt at this, but I think if all of us tried to talk with people, tried to really understand what was happening, this is our attempt. It may be perfect. And we're not policymakers. We're not trying to say we understand everything.
Yes.
We're having a conversation from the experiences of what we understand. Not that everything we said is 100% true. Not that everything we said is 100% wise or smart, but we're attempting to grapple with the reality of the situation. And I think that, I think there's value in that. And I look forward to doing this more. And I look forward to more people doing this. Just trying to understand what's happening, because it's not as simple as I think we want to make it, because it is very uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. And I hope to see you again.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Shimon, take care of yourself and your family. And
big hugs, and thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.